What's up, you guys? It occurred to me that you don't really get a chance to see a workout of me utilizing all the equipment in one session. And that's because, either I'm trying to make workouts specific to you guys of one particular piece of equipment, and I just assume you guys don't have all the stuff that I have, so I don't make a video kind of featuring that. But I thought I would show you guys a workout kind of slash gym tour of why I have the equipment that I have and why it actually does work so well with each other. I actually love this setup. The workout I just did when I was filming this was an awesome workout. I actually had a really fun time doing it. I'd love to do more of these workouts. I kind of just don't get a chance to as much because I'm going to film some content for you guys as well. But I thought I'd kind of again select and explain to you guys, especially for new people on the channel, of why I love this equipment selection, because it's all versatile, it's all relatively inexpensive, and it really has a really low footprint. You guys never really see this as much, but it takes me 2 seconds to kind of break this down and bring it back out again, even for like the big rower or breaks apart in kind of two pieces. So I love this variety that it provides me, and so I thought I'd kind of showcase what I like about it and this setup, so hopefully you guys get something out of it. As always, if you guys like this content, please consider liking and or subscribing. I did just add like an Instagram account, which that is very, very slow moving. I'll link that down below as well if you guys want to join that. I'll slowly start adding stuff to that. But with that said, let's get into the video. And I will link all the equipment down below in the description box. But the very first thing I'd recommend is the foundational piece I talk about a lot in this channel, which is some sort of sliding bench. I use the Weider Ultimate Bodyworks. This was the former name, a Total Bodyworks 5000, but I've had this thing since 2011. It's held up fine. You can see there's some rips there. That's been like that for a while actually. But I actually like this smaller design. I really like it, especially because of the price point, around $150 to $200 is what it's kind of going for. And I think it's worth every penny as far as how it's held up. And I also like the attachments, and I like the size of this machine. You can see even the pull-up bar itself, which gets a lot of use, pulling and pressing, really hasn't really worn out too much. And if it's ever did, I could always just kind of refurbish that pretty easily. The grips, I always kind of switch those out though. I got these about 6 months ago. I've linked these down below as well. I like them. They're wearing out a little bit, but again, I'd recommend getting another pair of grips. But the Weider Ultimate Bodyworks as a machine, or any kind of sliding bench for a home gym, if you can get it for a decent price, I just love it because there's just a lot of versatility, a lot of stuff with aesthetics, a lot of stuff with bodybuilding type workouts, a lot of different angles. Granted, there's some things you can't do as well, like maybe in the lower body as much, but still you can get really creative. It's a nice foundational piece, like I said, a great piece to kind of intermix with some of the things we're going to focus on, but can't recommend it enough. I love this equipment for its versatility, size, and even low footprint. And you won't see me use these perfect push-ups in this workout, although I do use them very often. I mean, they just save your wrists a little bit, so especially if you're older, if you got problems with your hands, do a lot of push-ups, I definitely recommend getting them. And then a pair of power blocks or adjustable dumbbells, cheaper adjustable dumbbells if you can get them. I always prefer and promote adjustable dumbbells because of their cost compared to getting barbells and weights. This is a new piece of equipment that I got, you're going to see featured here, which I just leave this kind of attached onto. This is this kettle grip. I love this, but honestly, even though I didn't mention a good bench would be good, even though I didn't feature it in the workout, the tripod's actually set up on this bench. But having a pair of just adjustable dumbbells, especially with the setup you guys are going to see here, in my opinion, just kind of saves the cost on barbells and plates. And if you're gonna get barbells and plates, I always say you probably should get a really, really good expensive squat rack. It might as well be worth it. So I don't have a really expensive squat rack, which we'll get into, but in general, I think if you get a pair of adjustable dumbbells, it really adds a lot more versatility. And when you kind of think about the cost, it depends on where you get them, but I always link a pair on Amazon down below, which in my opinion is a pretty good cost when you consider free shipping and the fact you're getting all that weight, and you can do a lot of different stuff with that weight. But if you can afford a more expensive set like power blocks or even some of the other ones you see on Amazon, I'd recommend it. I think they're great for what you can do and just the ease of use for sure. Moving on next is just these resistance bands. I just did a bunch of series of videos, and be another one coming up as well on resistance bands specifically. I'll talk about the loop style, but also talk about the tube style. But for these loop style resistance bands, I've been using these Undersun bands. I like the quality, I like the way they stretch, and I can tell you just from a few days of using them, they are, I think, a little bit better than the other pair I have, just because they have a little more of a stretch. The other one's kind of like a harder, more stiffer give to them. But it is nice kind of having two sets of bands, loop style bands. I will just say that there's a couple things I've tried with that, and obviously you might have saw some videos of me doing some things where you can attach these bands to the rest of this setup, like attaching them for pull-ups to this squat rack, which this is kind of the next thing moving on to, is just having this squat rack opened up so many doors to me, and just for the price of like roughly $100, this to me was a huge game changer in my setup. This really much changed everything around. Obviously you can do pull-ups on here, but attaching these other attachments that I had in storage, like my Olympic rings that I used to break out all the time, I love actually using Olympic rings for a variety of things, even though, I mean, I would say if it was one or the other, I would say get a pair of TRX bands or a suspension trainer, but I like having Olympic rings for things like this, where you can do like a nice high, kind of higher pull-up. You can do these kind of more of a higher row, whereas the other bands, you can definitely do them. I just like how you can separate them a little bit more. And there are some other kind of actual more fancy stuff you can do with them, which I used to kind of play around with, which I might showcase on this channel, like some muscle ups, which you can still do with a small squat rack. And then moving on to my TRX bands, I've had TRX bands for years. I've gone through actually a couple of pairs of them, believe it or not. And just, you know, some staple stuff, even with legs, you know, things like drop step lunges. You're seeing me kind of go into like this little burpee thing here, but I use these a lot just for like leg stuff. Definitely for things like this, these suspension, rear flies. People have asked, like, how does my setup not fall over? If you weight that thing down enough, I don't bolt my squat rack to the ground, which I like because it's easier to kind of move around. I can move it out. Sometimes I'm working out, I'll move it to the middle of the room. I can store it in the corner. But love suspension trainers. Again, they're versatile, they're cheap, inexpensive, open up a lot of doors for you guys. Next, moving on is just to kind of tube style bands. Tube style bands, I like them just because of the grip. These are inexpensive, and again, this one gave you like a promo code when you buy it. You get like a little gift card in the mail, or gift card and email, whatever. I do some wacky things with this that you just can't do as much with the loop style bands. Different kind of tension. This band setup has a really harder tension that actually feels really good doing stuff like this, like this overhead squat. I prefer doing my tube style bands. But again, I'm just talking about they're cheap, they're affordable, they're versatile, and they go along with everything else in the setup. Next is going on to this pulley system. I showcased a couple of videos in this. I particularly like this pulley because actually, again, it was a cheaper pulley and it had this strap system, and the strap can just loop around the dumbbell. It comes with these two attachments, and for the most part, again, I thought this thing is a solid addition to something like this. When you consider the cost and what you can do with the equipment you already have, feels really good. You know, definitely maybe more obvious with pulling. You can do some really good crunches. Definitely works for arms as well. You can do some chest presses, even cable rotations. I just love the different angles that I can get out of pulling, but even for triceps, this is a kind of a go-to tricep exercise as well. And then finally, kind of moving on to some piece of cardio equipment. I'm obsessed with the row machine, you guys know that, but I like, again, because it's versatile, you can break it down. It's probably the most expensive piece of equipment I have, but in my opinion, it's, as far as cardio is concerned, I had a whole video on this. I think it's the best form of cardio in a number of reasons. From the body parts, it works. For the bang for your buck you get out of just putting the time in, and also the fact that, you know, there's so much versatility in the workouts as far as using them for intervals, which I do a lot with these types of workouts. I'll mix up some of these exercises and apparatuses, jump on that for an interval of, you know, 30 seconds or some sort of a distance, and jump back to whatever I'm doing. So that's basically it, guys. This is a workout just showcasing all the equipment in one workout. If you guys want to see more of that, just let me know. But as always, thanks for watching.